Good morning, and welcome to the Lone Star Weekly Business Hour. Your host, Rick Schissler, is a Silver Fox advisor who personally has over 40 years of experience as a serial entrepreneur. So sit back, pull out your pad and pencil, and get ready to take notes as we join Rick Schissler in his Lone Star Weekly Business Hour.
And good morning and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for joining us this morning on the Weekly Business Hour. This is Rick Schissler, your Silver Fox advisor, and we've got two great guests in the studio today. We have Darwin Pressley, who is a financial advisor with Edward Jones. Darwin, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Rick.
And then we also have Courtney Coats Topini with CO2 Designs. Courtney, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
And also, I want to thank you, Silver Fox Advisors, for being our show sponsor. Silver Fox Advisors are businessmen and women who have completed successful careers in corporate America or as entrepreneurs. As Silver Fox Advisors, they share their knowledge, experience, and skills, thus allowing their business clients to improve their growth and profitability in a cost-efficient manner. If you need a business mentor or consultant, go to www.silverfoxadvisors.org or contact me at 713-343-3718. And please remember during today's show, if you have a question for Courtney or myself or even Darwin, who's going to join us for a few minutes this morning, please call the station at 936-649-5747. And before we get started talking to our guests, Dick, what's going on at Lone Star this week?
I just want to let people know we had a District 16 State Representative Will Metcalf in the studio this morning going over the House bills he's proposing for the upcoming weeks in the Senate and in Austin. So if you did miss his morning interview, you can always catch it on our archives later today on irlonestar.com.
Okay, that's a great thing to do, be able to check in on your own government at work. And I would encourage you to do so. So let's get right down to business. Now, Darwin, we're going to start with you. You're here for a special reason. You and some of the folks you work with at Edward Jones are putting on a market update and outlook with J.P. Morgan. And I think that's a very important business event. So that's why I asked you to come in this morning and tell us about it and tell folks how they can make arrangements to be there. So please tell us about the update, the forum that's coming up.
Absolutely, Rick. So one of the first things here, we're hosting this event as a group of us because we really care about the local community and want to make sure that people are educated. So we put together a great panel of speakers. First being our local county judge, Mr. Craig Doyle. He's going to speak on local county events, some of the things that are pressing and important here in our local community. Our second speaker is going to be a gentleman named Brian Youngberger. Brian is actually a research analyst with Edward Jones, and he's in charge of our equities in relation to energy and utilities. So that should definitely be a hot topic right now with things that are going on in the oil world. And then third, we have Anastasia Amoroso, and she is a global strategist with J.P. Morgan Asset Management. So she'll be speaking just on the general economy and the global economy and just kind of giving people some pointers on what may or may not work in today's economy and how things just are in general. So as a group, we're hosting this. So there's 12 advisors. If you just, there's definitely the opportunity to RSVP to any local Edward Jones advisor. You can RSVP to my office as well at 936-273-3161. Also by emailing any of us, if you go to edwardjones.com and just type in your zip code, it'll pull up your closest office and you're welcome to send an email. We do prefer that you RSVP for headcount purposes, but it is open to the general public. We understand some people forget. So we do ask people to be there between 4:30 and 4:45 to register, get a good seat, and there'll be light refreshments for everybody to enjoy as well. The speakers will come on first with Craig Doyle at 5 o'clock.
Now, where is this event taking place?
Thanks for asking. It's at the Lone Star Convention Center, which is out by the airport and the fairgrounds.
Okay. And one of the things that, in my mind, if I hear you offer this to me, I'm a business guy, I'm a small business owner. What would be my motivation to attend an event like this?
Well, it's on many levels. First of all, everybody knows somebody that's affected by what's happening in the oil industry right now. So it's going to be some good information just on kind of what's happening, what's causing it. And then, of course, the economy and global economy, just getting some really good information to help you make decisions even as a business owner, as an investor. But definitely on the local level with Craig Doyle coming out to speak on local things that are going to impact us here in our own community.
Well, and I think you make an excellent point, and that's what I think, and I encourage anyone who's listening that has a business in the Montgomery County area or even beyond there, but particularly because you need to stay up on what's going on around you. And so many times I find small business people stay inside their bubble, right, Courtney? We talk about that. But you got to have your eyes and ears open on what's going around you. But it's not like it has to be something you work on every day. But from time to time, I have found that these kind of events are real helpful to bring me up to speed, give me a little bit of time to think about that, because I make decisions in my business sometimes every day that bit of information might cause me to do something a little bit different, particularly if I'm in a mode of expansion or bringing new products in or changing a service. What's going to happen here in the next 6 months or the next year that could be an advantage or a disadvantage to the business I'm in. So my encouragement to anyone who's listening today is try to make time to come out. It's in the late afternoon, early evening. Perhaps that's a good time for a lot of folks to leave their business for a few minutes or a couple hours actually and come out and listen. Now, would you one more time, Darwin, kind of give us the rundown on the event today and give all that pertinent information?
Absolutely. First of all, I'll throw out that there is no cost to attend this event. It's something that we have chosen as local advisors to sponsor along with the help of JP Morgan. So there will be no cost at the door, no tickets or anything necessary. The event does run on March 26th. That's this Thursday at the Lone Star Convention Center from 5 p.m. to 7:30. We are asking you to come a few minutes early just to register and get a good seat. The address for Lone Star Convention Center is 9055 Airport Road, and that's here in Conroe, and the zip code 77303. If you have the opportunity, you can RSVP to my office or any local Edward Jones office. My office is 936-273-3161 is the phone number.
Well, I appreciate that. And again, I offer my encouragement. I also would like to thank you, Darwin, and your fellow Edward Jones financial advisors for hosting this kind of event. And again, encourage you, particularly in light of the fact that our county judge is speaking and and I'm not putting words in his mouth, but sort of the state of the county, what's going on, particularly hopefully economically, and what they see coming. So I think that's important to understand. Again, not to be repetitive, but if you work and you live, you own a business here in Montgomery County, you need to stay up with what's going on in the county. I want to thank you for coming in and delivering that information. Do you have anything else you'd like to say to our audience?
No, we encourage you to come out, and thank you for the opportunity.
Okay, well, thank you for putting it on, and I hope many of you that are listening today will consider going to that event. Great opportunity, again, to get a little update on what's going on around us, not just in Montgomery County, but around the world, because it all impacts us. Well, let's shift gears a little bit. I'm looking across now at our guest for today, Courtney Coats Topini, owner of CO2 Designs.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Well, tell us first off, what is CO2 Designs?
CO2 Designs is my childhood nickname, Coco. So I just during college we had to come up with logos for our brand, and I just took the CO2 and squared it. So CO2 and Designs.
So Coco times 2. Wow, that is one of the
Courtney
most
Coats,
There you go.
C-O-C-O. So my parents call me Coco.
That is an interesting, I've never heard that story. I've heard a lot of good logo stories where people come up with their logo, but boy, that is the first time I've ever heard that. And that's almost really creative. I mean, a way to come up with a logo.
I just did it in college and kind of just stuck with me. So
Okay,
it's
CO
easy for people to remember, and it's a
Right.
brand recognition, which is what I'm all about, the brand recognition.
What does CO2 Designs do?
CO2 Designs does social media management. So basically, I take content, I take messages, I take logos, and I get it across the social media platforms, not just Facebook. A lot of people just stop at Facebook. It's in all parts. It's Twitter, it's Pinterest, it's Instagram, it's Google+, it's using MailChimp and Constant Contact to get emails out and e-blast. And it's uploading to sites like if you have a restaurant, Open Table, Yelp. If you're local and you need Conroe or the Woodlands Online or Conroe Online, it's getting listings there. Anything that's going to get words out on the web so that when people do searches, you get pulled up.
Which I personally believe as a small business mentor or consultant is an extremely important avenue for all types of businesses. It really is. You must be covered up with business.
I have a very diverse portfolio right now of clients. I have doctors, I have a wine bar, I have fitness. I kind of go the whole route. I'm even serving energy right now. I'm dealing with an energy clients. So it is very diverse during the day for me.
Well, which is a good thing, right?
It is. You never get bored. And I'm lucky because I graduated from LSU and I have a graphic design degree. So I'm able to use that degree and make ads that I get to then post to get the messages out for upcoming events, or, if they're having a speaker or anything like that. So
That's interesting because that way you provide the whole package.
yeah, it's great.
Well, give us just fill any gaps in about your personal business background. I mean, what led you to start your own business?
Wow, that's a loaded question.
Okay.
Well, like I said, I did graduate with a graphic design degree, and I did work in graphic design. I am from New Orleans, and I worked until Katrina, and then when Katrina hit, we came to Texas. And then we went back home, and then we left and went to Connecticut for 3 years. And then by the time we came back to Texas, the jobs just weren't there. Technology moved so quickly that I just wasn't able to keep up. And I was a full-time mom and, just always missing what identified me during the day as, I'm a graphic designer. It's what I went to school for. It's what I love to do. So in a roundabout way, I was a fitness instructor. I was a jazzercise instructor. And I started helping the lady out with her social media, and it really just took off from there. I joined a wonderful networking group, WOMTech, and all of my clients come from that group in some way, either a friend of a friend or directly from the group. So it is all about people understanding what you do and using your services and being able to refer you.
Ladies and gentlemen, Courtney, I appreciate that. We're going to take a short break now, our first break of the day. And let me remind you, if you're listening in, that speaking of social media, irlonestar.com is on Facebook. So if you have a chance, if you haven't already done it, please like us and join in the Lone Star community. We'll be right back with you.
Imagine a young couple's baby has just been born, and doctors decide to transport him to the neonatal intensive care unit 90 miles away. Their world has just turned upside down, and now they have to find a hotel for the next 2 months. Caden's Hope focuses on alleviating the unexpected financial burden associated with the last-minute travel. Your tax-deductible contribution will help a family remain overnight near the hospital and close to their baby. To learn more, please visit cadenshope.org. Caden's Hope, providing hope in the midst of trial.
Hi folks, it's your old buddy Luke Clayton, and I want to invite you to join me every Saturday morning right here on Lone Star Internet Radio from 8 to 9 for Outdoors with Luke Clayton and Friends. Bill Dance is a frequent guest. Larry Weisser and Mr. Whitetail is on the show every week. We talk a lot of hunting and fishing and generally have a good time. So remember, every Saturday morning, 8 to 9, right here on Lone Star Internet Radio.
SPCA PetSnap of Montgomery County is a 501c3, all-volunteer-based rescue and adoption organization with a no-kill policy for healthy and adoptable animals. Our name states what we believe: Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals. People eliminate the suffering. Spay, neuter, adopt, please. We rescue abandoned, abused, or homeless animals, do whatever is needed to make them healthy and happy, and then we find them loving forever homes. We envision a county where every companion animal finds a permanent and compassionate home, where communities are enriched by the special bond between people and animals, where cruelty no longer exists, and where every home practices responsible pet ownership. You can contact us at www.spcaofmc.com. The SPCA PetSnap of Montgomery County encourages you to think adoption first.
Welcome back. This is Rick Schissler, your Silver Fox Advisor. You're listening to the Weekly Business Hour. And our guest today is Courtney Coats Topini, the owner, founder of CO2 Designs, which had an interesting beginning. I just got to mention that. I'm still taken by that, Courtney. Let me ask you this to kind of start this segment of the show. You were a graphic artist, and you morphed, if you will, or had made an adjustment in your career, which I admire, into social media management. with the creative bent, if you will, of doing the graphic design part. What is your experience in working with businesses? Because I think businesses overlook the fact that managing social media requires a certain discipline. You've got to do it on a regular basis. What have you found?
Being consistent is important, and a lot of people take that on themselves and they hire the office staff to manage it, and then it just gets put by the wayside and they don't keep up with it. And luckily I come along and get employed by them, and I'm able to program and schedule their messages when they go out, and I'm able to research and find topics that not only promote their product but support their product. So, if you're selling Botox, you can't sell Botox every day. So what you need to do is go look for articles that support why you would need Botox. Our skin is sagging because we spend too much time in the sun. Sun is bad for your skin over a long period of time. So those kind of things. And, most people at work are busy. They don't have time to take the 2 seconds just to go find an article to support or that mentions their product in it. So that's where I come in handy.
So you help them become disciplined in a sense.
Yeah, and my greatest accomplishment is when I'm able to take a client on and instruct them and help them and then turn them loose because they're ready to do it on their own. And I always say that. I take a lot of clients on, and I understand that, they've got a low budget and they can do it themselves. They're just overwhelmed at the get-go. I mean, if you have to sit down and set up a Google Plus account, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and do your newsletter, you're going to freak out really quickly. It can be overwhelming, especially when you're trying to link everything together and you have to have all the information ready to go. So that's where I come in. I can come in and do all that at one time because I'm used to doing it, and then set you up for a couple of months, getting you comfortable with the postings and how they go out. And then, if you want to take it over and you have the time, it's great. If not, you've got me forever.
I hear you.
Which many of my clients do.
Well, let me ask you this now. Is there any way that you've been able to quantify the fact that people are consistent in the social media as far as how it helps their business versus either being disorganized or not doing it at all or just doing Facebook? How does it really help someone's business?
I tell you, social media helps when you have a strong web page. If you have a web page and you have an audience that wants your message, not just that you're feeding them information, they really look forward to what you have to say. For instance, I work for Genuine Tasting Room, and they have live music and food and entertainment, and there's constantly events there. So I am never at a moment of not having anything to post. So their Facebook page is very, very active. It's a little bit more of a struggle on other pages when you don't have the community that's looking for information every single week. If it's a fitness site that I manage, they'll check in to see if we're moving classes around, but there's not that much happening. So it depends. The traffic on Facebook is what you give it. The more you have to give, the more you'll see results. And if you have a strong web page, it all goes back to that.
Right, and I think that's an interesting point. I've been working with for one of my clients. They asked me, and we were laughing a little bit about this prior to the show. They asked me to take on that part of their business because they went with a website provider that will pick it up. But I had to go in and do all that registering you were just talking about. And I took it on because I felt like I was kind of forced or needed to learn all that because I was doing my own. And you're exactly right. Boy, is it a nightmare. And they have people who pick it up. Once I put them in as an admin, then they're posting a consistent message. They're even posting blogs. That's why the client went with them,
right?
Because they specialize in various industries.
Right.
So and it's generic, but it's still better than the irregularity. That was my advice to them when they made the choice of using that provider. So and it's very cost effective, I think.
Yeah, and when you know at the end of the day that your message is getting out there and you know that someone's taking good care of it. My clients have been around for a couple of years now, so I think they're all happy.
Well,
they like what's getting out, and it's great when you get a pat on the back when you hear that, hey, someone said that you're doing a really good job. They're seeing increases in sales or increases through people through the door. Or, hey, all 3 of my clients got Best of the Woodlands online. That's a pretty big accomplishment for me.
Well, and I think that's very important when you're working with a client, and I admire that so much, is to be able to quantify, as I asked earlier, that, hey, this really does make a difference. And actually, the client I'm mentioning, they picked up a new client, and they don't have a lot of clients. They don't need a lot of clients, but they picked up a client, and they said that they found them by reading one of the blogs, and because they were looking for somebody, so somehow they connected with a blog, and they provide a service. So that quantified to that client, hey, I need to keep making that investment.
Right.
I need to do that. And if you have that kind of track record, like with Woodlands Online and whatnot, your clients need to jump up and shout with joy.
You think about how much you paid to me and what one client through the door means to you.
Right.
So if I get you more than one client, and it's not always about getting the clients in through the door. It's also about your brand recognition. It's constantly having it out there, who you are. So when people think, I think I need to go to an internist, who should I go to? Well, if they've seen my client's logo every single day posted on Facebook or across the social media, logically, just like you'd go to Coke or you'd go to Target, it's brand recognition.
Well, and you bring up a good issue too, and I found a lot of people in their marketing don't ever evaluate what does it cost me to get a client. Excuse me, because in the backdoor way, that sort of helps you set a budget, because I find so many small businesses don't have a clue about this, and it's almost like IT, if you will. It's just sort of magical or mythical. How much do I spend? Too much, too little? But it's right there in front of you if you'll take a little bit of time and analyze what you can afford to spend.
And how much is your time?
Right.
You know, if your time is $100 a week, well, then that's how much you should be spending to have someone else do it, because you obviously don't have the time to do it. You know, we don't think twice about bringing our clothes to the laundromat or having someone clean our house or any of the other services that we don't have time to do. Who has time to stand over and iron besides me? Because I do iron. You know, so we take our clothes out. And if you add up all the money you spend in those services, well, you justify, well, I don't have time for it because I'm busy. Right. So social media needs to be one of those things if you want to promote your business in that way.
Right. Well, I think that's very, very important. Let me ask you this. How do you make your company stand out in the crowd? I'm sure other people do this. How do you make your company be the go-to? I know you mentioned you've got most of your customers, if not all of them, through WMTech, which is
referrals.
A great organization, a networking organization.
Yeah.
And I've been to your chapters meetings. You've got a great group of people.
We do.
How do you make yourself stand out?
You know, I am fortunate. I kind of just stand out on my own because I'm the only person that does the whole package. You can find people to do social media. You can find graphic designers. You can find web. It's hard to find someone that knows all of it. And I am not a webmaster by any means, but I do a pretty good job getting things posted, and I can move around menu bars, and I can dink around and stay out of trouble enough. But so I'm a complete package, and having just the organization skills. I'm very prompt with getting things out. I don't ever have any complaints about, I sent it to you 3 weeks ago and you never got it. So I'm good about that. So people value that.
Well, I would absolutely think, you're doing what you say you're going to do when you're going to say you're going to do it, right?
Yeah, and so I'm always looking for someone like me, because, if I sell my lemonade stand and decide to go to brick and mortar, I'm going to need help.
Well, and I think that's a very important point that you make, that you're providing a service that really is a help, if you will, another word for people that, one, to kind of sum up what we've been talking about, one, it's a learning curve. Mm-hmm. And it's not like I can just have the ad guy come in and sign up for an ad. And two, you provide a complete service, graphical, everything. And then three is the value on my time, that I can take my time, but you're delivering that result, right, as you've said. And I think that's a win-win-win all the way down the list. And I congratulate you on that.
Well, thank you.
That's cool. That really is cool. Let me ask you, social media is it's fairly new. At least a lot of people still feel that way, even though it really has been around for a while. Just like the web, people still think that the web, a lot of that is because of the evolution, in my opinion. Things are always evolving. And you and I were talking a little bit about how you can buy these, say, dummy books like I've done and kind of read them, but by the time they put them out, print them and put them out, things have changed. Address that a little bit about how important it is for everybody to understand that social media we're down to the particular Facebook or Twitter or whatever, their rules or how they do things just changes constantly.
Quickly as can be. It's always good if you're not following someone who's in the know. There's a lot of blogs out there and a lot of people who send us information if you sign up for their email blast. So I stay constant and current with that information. I just go out there and, Mashable.com has wonderful information. You'll hear it there before you hear it anyplace else. And Springboard Works is another one that I subscribe to. I belong to a couple of forums per se. They talk about things once a month, and it just trying to stay current. But there's never a day I'll wake up and something hasn't changed on Facebook, because it rolls out. So if you're managing 14 clients, one client might have it, but the other 13 don't. And then maybe 3 days later, 2 of them have something else and the other one doesn't. It's crazy.
Well, and I think our listeners need to hear that, because I think that's a critical point. Another good reason, maybe a fourth reason, to hire a professional such as yourself to manage this, because I may be able to learn the ins and outs of setting the account up and then posting things, but let me tell you, staying up with something like this, and when the rules change or how things are done, we were talking about Facebook in particular, if I want to advertise, how dramatically that's changed, another good reason to hire a professional like you, isn't it?
It is, because actually if you're trying to do your business page, wow, the admin part of it has just gotten so complicated. It's not simple like it used to be. You have to go in through your personal page now and then go find the business page that you want to manage. And then even tagging photographs has gotten so complicated from the business page. I don't know why Facebook is making it so complicated when they want us to spend our money and advertise there, which is another whole conversation. But yeah, but don't forget, there are so many other great places to advertise. Google Plus is wonderful for your SEO and to drive people to your webpage. And Instagram, if that's your clientele, by all means, get on Instagram. It's driven from your phone. You can look at it through your laptop, but you can't post from your laptop. That's the only drawback with that. There's no admins on that one either. Twitter, and don't forget that you can feed all of these accounts into other accounts. You can pin something on Pinterest and it'll auto feed to Twitter if you set it up, and that will auto feed to Facebook. So boom, boom, boom. Great services like Buffer and Hootsuite keep you organized, and they predate your posts and you send them out on a regular basis.
Well, that's a point too, I think, the fact that you can do your work, say, on the weekend, and then it flows out during the week, if you will.
Right.
But again, I come back in my comment, and I'm being repetitive maybe to our listeners, but this is not a lot different, maybe not as important to you as a CPA or a lawyer who keeps up with the changes in the law or in the accounting rules, the IRS regulations. Social media, if you're going to be in it, and I, again, contend most businesses need to be, and they're all different depending on what you're selling, where you need to be and whatnot, but you really need to consider a professional or have someone on staff who is being paid designated amount of their time. I've bumped into that. One of my clients has somebody that's interested in the area, and they kind of keep up with it, not just the client's social media postings, but some of the things you mentioned. They stay in tune with it as far as what's happening, what's changing. And
because you are your business.
Right. And that client has an accountability. Every Wednesday morning they meet with that employee and they go through it. So it's not like, okay, I'm going to kind of shovel this over to you.
Right.
And
this is what
good
we're
luck.
going to promote. This is how we're going to do it. This is where we're going to spend the money to promote it heavily. Right.
So.
That's why I always say I like to get my clients on their own if they have the capability, because by the time you send me a link of what you want me to post, you could have done that yourself.
Right.
And you know your business better than anybody else. I learn your business and I learn to support your business, but you ultimately do it the best. Because you know the angle and you know the response to give when people interact with your page. It's hard for a third person who isn't involved in it 100% to do that for you. So there is a kind of a brick wall sometimes when you're the admin. But so far, I'm doing good with all of my clients who trust me.
Well, you make a good point. That's kind of the negative, is that someone can't know your business as well as you. But at the same time, I think, again, I guess my advice would be you got to manage this. However you choose to do it, through a third party, through yourself, you've got to manage it to make it really effective at all. And to make it really effective, you've got to manage it really well. Like the client I mentioned that has a weekly meeting to go over what they're doing. It's a 15, 20-minute meeting, but to stay updated through that employee. So
15, 20 minutes. Wow, mine lasts 2 hours.
well, you're talking about an organization, though, where they come in organized with an agenda, so they really zip through it. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take another break. And when we come back, we're going to kind of put Courtney on the hot seat like we do and talk about some general business ideas and principles. And I encourage you, as Courtney said earlier, the website's an important kind of a core thing with businesses today. And I encourage you as a listener to always check out the irlonestar.com website. Lots of good information, connection to lots of great shows. We'll see you in just a moment.
Imagine a new mother has just delivered her first child, and doctors decide to transport him to the neonatal intensive care unit of a specialty children's hospital 90 miles away. A young couple's world has just turned upside down, and now they have to find a hotel for the next 2 months. Cadence Hope can help. Cadence Hope focuses on alleviating the unexpected financial burden associated with last-minute travel, hotel arrangements, air travel for out-of-town family, gasoline credit cards, parking, groceries, and the list is endless. And all while worrying about the medical condition of their newborn child. Cadence Hope grew out of the very real-life struggles and financial hardships faced by a young couple in California. A bed to sleep in, food to eat, parking, and other essential daily needs. You can help by joining Cadence Hope and providing a tax-deductible contribution. Your generous support, when added to others, will help a family remain overnight near the hospital in a warm, safe hotel close to their child. To learn more, please visit cadencehope.org. Cadence Hope, providing hope in the midst of trial.
Put a smile on your face, a warm feeling in your heart, and tune in to the listener-friendly Mark and Cindy Show every weekday morning from 10 to 11 here on irlonestar.com. Do you have anything to add to that, Mark?
Yeah, scratch the listener-friendly part. Goes without saying. We're not going to be unfriendly with listeners because they'll quit listening and we'll be back to emceeing watermelon-tossing galas. I'm not doing that again, Cindy.
Look, when somebody yells duck, you don't look over to see what's coming your way. You duck.
Hey, it's a reflex from martial arts training. Anyway, I'm not doing any more watermelon galas.
Okay, catch us on our archives, YouTube, SoundCloud, and HBO.
Right, HBO. We're on right after the Game of Thrones. Cindy, you are such a storyteller. I'd like to apologize for Cindy. She makes up stuff.
I'm not. Human Body Odor, HBO. It's an experimental new community channel.
The Mark and Cindy Show every weekday at 10 o'clock. Join us here on irlonestar.com. Please.
I'm Lieutenant Bob Berry with the Conroe Police Department, reminding you that drinking and driving do not mix. Drinking and driving causes an alcohol-related fatality every hour in the United States. Stay sober and stay alive.
Welcome back to the Weekly Business Hour. This is Rick Schissler, your host, Silver Fox Advisor. We've been having a great conversation this morning with Courtney Coats Topini, the owner of CO2 Designs. She manages social media, and which I happen to believe, again, is a very important part of most businesses and one that really doesn't get the attention it deserves. Let me ask you, what gave you, we talked about, and maybe this is a redundant question, how you kind of morphed yourself from a graphic designer, Courtney, into doing CO2 Designs, but what gave you the idea to do that, to make that change? I know there was pressure on the graphics design industry, and I understand that, but what gave you the idea to take it to social media?
The need, just the availability, and it was there, and it was free. I guess all things aligned in one place. So I knew the message was going to get out for one particular client, and I had to figure out a way. It's expensive to do print for some small businesses. The traditional types of marketing aren't available to small businesses nowadays. Print and then radio and TV and then billboards and park benches and all the other, even direct mail has gotten so expensive to some degree. So when the social media started to come more and more and more in the front running of advertising, I said, well, let's jump on this and go all in it. And of course started with Facebook because that was the easiest, but it did not take long to realize that, wow, there's just an endless amount of places to put your message if you've got the time.
Well, one of the things that always impresses me is when I'm reading business magazines, because I'm a believer I can learn from big businesses and bring it down to small businesses, sometimes in a diluted form. But a lot of these large corporations, Fortune 500, Fortune 1000, they have whole departments of people, 10, 20, 50 people that just focus on social media. And not only getting the message out, in their case, they also have to backstop in case somebody starts something that's negative.
Right.
But the idea is that's how important they feel this is. That's got to send a message to us as small business people.
Right. When I was working with an oil client, one of the biggest postings I would do would be their safety. The safety, they got this award for safety or that award for safety. It was a very important message for them to get out to their followers that they ran a clean business and they were big on safety, and they had received all these awards. So that was their message they were getting out. Brand awareness was another one. So yeah, and the bigger companies do take on the Donna Wicks of Houston to promote that across the platforms, print, media, social, it all, advertising.
Well, you touch on something that a lot of small business people have a hard time with, which is, and you called it earlier, branding. Other people call it something, what's my unique message that I have, and there's all kinds of clever names for it. And I feel it's important that a business decide who I am, and then I have to be able to convey that. It's a consistent thing. It's not just who I am in my heart or whatever. I've got to be able to tell people about that. And to me, social media is one of the best, if not the single best ways to convey that message. Regardless of cost, it's just a great way to convey who my business or who I am, my business is to the public.
Exactly. And people these days are wanting the more personal feel for that too. So if you're speaking on your business page and you represent yourself as a small business owner, speaking from the heart and speaking from your experience and your knowledge, you'll notice the difference in the posting. You'll notice if it's just a generic made up message, just copying from the webpage, this is what we do. So if you're able to put in some input, that's a great way to get your followers to stick around and want more.
Well, it's kind of like 20 years ago or 30 years ago, corporate culture had the mission statement. That became a huge thing. Mm-hmm. Well, this is a personalization, in my opinion, of the mission statement. And in my opinion, a lot more effective, not just to potential clients or existing customers, but also to the folks, if you have employees that work for you. Right. A chance to talk about it, a chance to show it effectively happening. I think it's a neat thing.
Yeah, and that's a good point that you made, Rick. I have a lot of clients who unfortunately don't insist that their employees follow, like, group, whatever platform we're on. They don't do it. They don't follow along. So I kind of feel like if you can't get your own employees to do it, how do you expect other people to like and follow you? So it's real important if you own a small business and you have employees, or for instance, at the wine club, the wine bar that I work at, they have musicians, a lot of musicians. So getting them on board to like us and follow us and be part of our newsletter is real important because it makes them feel like they're part of a great thing. And that just blows up the SEO. We're all over the place with that. So being involved in your business is great. Having other people involved in your business is good too.
Well, and that's a great point, because then I expand the interest level, because one thing may interest you and one as a potential customer, and another thing might interest me. And the fact that I expand my family or the people that are involved, it grabs different people, so it expands your potential audience. I think that's wonderful.
And you never know where a potential client may come from. And it's not like you're doing this every day just to get clients. I mean, you're out there, you're educating, and you're informing, and you're getting your message out on the side. I mean, if you're also looking for business, I post just tidbits of information all the time. Not that I'm looking for clients every day, but I just feel like I do my part to get the message out there to help.
Well, I think that's important, and I'm going to ask you if you don't mind sharing or what you want to share, because this is a question for every business out there, particularly small business people. What do you've been in business, you feel successful, you sound successful, you seem like you're really growing. What is the secret to being successful in business, in your opinion?
Organization. For a woman, wow, to work from home and raise 2 kids, organization. And just being committed to your commitments. I've kind of had a year of, I'm tired of people who make appointments and just cancel them and reschedule. And that gets old. Make the appointment, make the time, stick to it. It's like going to the gym. Just stick with it. So yeah, organization for business for me is key. And being consistent and having the trust of the client to where they say, I trust you, you just do what you think's right. That comes with time, but if you are mature and you handle things in a professional way, I think that's great for your business.
Organization, any tips? Because that is a key core, in my opinion, of a successful business. Do you have any particular tips?
Pencil and paper. I am all about the schedule. As technologically advanced as I like to consider myself with all my devices, and it looks like I'm running a small country in my office, I still resort to paper and pencil to have the plan, to see what post is going out for each client and who's getting what to what platform, and I do believe in that wholeheartedly.
Well, my dad would sure love you because he always believed you start with pencil and paper. Then if you want to carry it to another level, that was always his.
The only thing I won't do in pencil and paper, which cracks me up when people still do this, is I will not put a calendar together on pencil and paper. My calendar is in my phone for a reason, because it alerts me, and I look at my phone all day long, where everything else, though, in my life is pencil paper. If you send me an email, I'm going to print the email. I'm going to read the email. I like the tangible paper element of that. And it sits on my desk until it gets addressed. And once it gets addressed, it gets either recycled or thrown away. And that feels so good.
Wow, that's interesting. I hadn't heard anybody who does that in a long time, but I understand. Got that inbox, got to empty it every day, right?
I'm a strong believer in going to sleep with my email box empty as well.
Yeah. A lot of people, don't get me started on that. I have had so many clients, inbox has 1,000 things, and I'm big about clearing. Either I put it in a folder or I delete it. I read it and delete it.
I feel like if you address it, that's my business. So if I address it, that's money that I'm going to be able to invoice. So I get to it.
Right. Well, you make a good point. The idea is you got to stick with that list, regardless of what form it takes, and you got to check it off. You got to go through it.
Never put off till tomorrow when you can get done today.
And keep running that list. And I even struggle with that. I'll admit that.
Isn't it satisfying to scratch off, though? It? Oh, there's nothing.
And then tear off a page and throw it away, and you start a new day. Great. That's great. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take our final break for the day. I want to thank you for being with us and listening. And when we come back, though, we're going to talk a little bit business and also talk about work-life balance. I always try to bring that into the program because so many of us in small business are stressed. So stick with us, and we'll get Courtney's point of view on these issues.
Heaven's Army of Resources and Recreation Center is a 501c3 nonprofit organization featuring a 10,000 square foot building located at 19325 FM 1485 West, New Caney, Texas. At Heaven's Army, we offer over 26 different services free for all ages, from karate, dance, drug and alcohol classes, anger management, parenting, food and clothing pantries, to just name a few. We are supported solely by volunteers and private donations. Our main mission is to glorify God in all that we do. At Heaven's Army, we strive to be a hand up, not a handout. Come check us out at 19325 FM 1485 West, New Caney, Texas, or call for more information at 281-689-5864. You may also learn more about Heaven's Army by visiting our website at heavensarmyofresources.com.
Hello, I'm Bonita DeRosa, Animal Control Officer for the City of Willis. We invite you to tune in to Lone Star Internet Radio every first and third Thursday of the month at 11 a.m. for the Willis Hour. On the first Thursday of the month, the Willis Hour will be covering upcoming events and news about the city. Join in the conversation with your city officials and other leaders in the community. On the third, we will be doing a recap of the last city council meeting. The mission of the City of Willis is to provide high-quality services, accountability, and professional commitment to our citizens. We pledge to provide those who live, work, and visit our city an effective government that is open and responsive to the needs and values of the community. Again, we invite you to tune in on Lone Star Internet Radio every first and third Thursday of the month at 11 for the Willis Hour.
The East Texas Dream Center is in need of your help. We are a nonprofit Christian organization that houses women and children who are trying to get their lives back after being homeless, abused, or addicted. We are conveniently located at 301 South 1st Street, Conroe, Texas, 77301, right here in Montgomery County. Our needs are financial and every needs of gasoline, cleaning supplies, laundry soap, Lysol, and whatever else God puts in your heart. To help our ladies and children, please consider a donation. You may visit our website at www.easttexasdreamcenter.org. Again, so you don't forget, it's www.easttexasdreamcenter.org. Donations are tax deductible. Remember what Jesus said, with God, nothing is impossible.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is Rick Schissler, your Silver Fox advisor. You're listening to the Weekly Business Hour, and our guest in the studio today is Courtney Coats Topini, the owner of CO2 Designs. And Courtney, we've been talking a lot about your business and the importance of social media, which is your business. And now maybe let's take a little bit of business, but then I want to kind of get into some of the personal aspects of work-life balance, because you mentioned you have a family, and so many people struggle with balancing their business. But first, we left our last segment and we were talking about planning, your daily plan, being a pad and a pencil, which I kind of ascribe to as well, using a little bit of electronics, but I always revert back to the pad. Another step in planning is to have a plan, say an annual plan, a quarterly plan of goals and objectives. Do you do any kind of planning like that?
Absolutely not. Because I don't know where I'll be tomorrow.
Okay.
I really don't. It's bad. I don't have a business plan. I believe in just giving everything that I've got today and building on it tomorrow and making it better. And I have been fortunate enough to do a good job at what I do, that I'm evolving and getting bigger clients. Because for me, that's my goal. That is my goal, to have more clients like my wine bar who are encompassing a lot of things at one time, instead of having 10 smaller people that I only do Facebook postings for. So I'm trying to get to the bigger picture, because you can just sit down one day and say, this is what I'm going to devote. I'm going to do all of the wine bar stuff today, all of Genuine stuff today. And then you just get in Genuine mode and you get it done. And then the next day you switch to another client. Instead of, I'm a very good multitasker. So on any given day, I'll have 20 browser windows open and back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So that is my goal, to not on paper, but I strive to get to that. And it's coming along fine.
Let me ask you this. Let me throw it back at you. A year from now, roughly, or the end of this year, being a calendar year, where would you like to see yourself?
I'd like to see myself with 4 large clients. 4 clients about the size of the Genuine.
So you have goals, you just don't commit to them on that pad.
I'm very guilty of being on the fence. I'm a one-woman operation, and when I get overwhelmed with a lot of work, it means I have to get up at 4:30 in the morning and I go to bed at 12 o'clock at night. So I'm trying to find that balance. And right now I've got the sugar spot, and I am just rocking it right now. I've got good hours and my clients are just rolling, and I don't know why it's happening. I think I've become so efficient that I just know what I need to get done and scratch it off my list. And I know my goals for the day. I know I'm going to work 4 hours today at some point in the day. But, if I pay to play, just like on Facebook.
Right.
I do these things. I go work out in the morning, so in the afternoon I do have to work. I can't be out by the pool with the kids, or I do have to make those. I choose to make those sacrifices.
Right.
Because I like what I do.
Well, from a planning perspective, I guess it'd be fair enough you kind of to say you fly by the seat of your pants, so to speak.
As far as the development of my company, the growth of my company, yes. This is I'm celebrating my beginning of my second year of business. I had evolved pretty rapidly when we first moved to Texas 3.5 years ago. And my husband said, well, why don't you just have a go at it and see, I retired from Jazzercise being an instructor to give me more time to do this. And yes, it was very profitable. I did good. I did good because my husband switched job, career paths. He still works for the same company, awesome company, but he works from home now. So I have a great support from my husband, who can bring my kid to school on a bicycle and run my son up to the track. And that has really been a huge help for the development of my business.
Well, that's an interesting perspective that you bring, and kind of moves into the work-life balance. Now you've got yourself, your husband, both working from home.
And our jammies.
I didn't hear that. Okay, but that's always the picture we have when somebody works from home, but not necessarily true. I find I have to get showered, shaved, and get dressed. I don't put a tie on. I did work with a guy that actually put a tie on every day, and he worked from his home.
That's crazy.
Well, because for years he had done it, so it's whatever works. But what kind of interesting, what the word is, not conflicts, but I mean, how does that work? I mean,
I love it.
Do you have your own office and he has his?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So
we
you
meet
have
at the
separate
coffee
offices.
machine. We don't have a water fountain, so we meet at the coffee machine.
Okay. So you have
It's
coffee in
great.
common, and that's about it?
Yeah. I met my husband in Italy, and we came back to America, and he started into the school system, got an awesome job, and we never saw him. He worked and worked and worked and worked and worked and worked. And then when he switched gears and started working for the same company, but in a different different program or a different venue, I don't know how do you say what he changed gears.
Right.
Wow, we see him all the time. It's just wonderful. And he's doing great at his job because he doesn't have that stress. He doesn't have to get in a car and drive an hour and 10 minutes down to the office. Think about that valuable time.
Right.
You can work instead of sitting in a car. That's great.
Well,
That's
the
really
neat thing you mentioned on the work-life balance, too, is that you mentioned that he's involved in managing the life, the family, and helping with the kids. And, I mean, it sounds like there's a real group thing going on here.
It is. He has his limits. He doesn't cook.
Okay.
But he's folding clothes probably right now as he's listening to this radio broadcast.
Right. I got you.
Maybe. That would be a stretch, but maybe.
But that's an interesting dynamic, and to be able to manage that dynamic, because
As a woman, yeah.
Well, I've just
You have
never
to have
run
the
into
support.
where both people work, and it sounds like he doesn't travel much, so you're both
No.
there a lot together.
I know,
But
and that would
separate
drive
rooms.
most people crazy, but after not having my husband for so long, I'm just tickled pink. I love
Yeah.
it.
Well, that's interesting.
Yeah.
So you really are not challenged by the work-life balance issue.
At 6:00 in the evening when I'm trying to get the final stuff ready for the next day for my clients, and then cook dinner, and then have to go shuttle kids. Sometimes, yeah, it does get a little. That's my crucial time, the dinner time, because I'm old-fashioned and I believe that a home-cooked meal should be on the table. So I cook.
So that's kind of the end of the day for you, at least a point to get
I
time
stop,
to do that.
go do that, and then come back at it. They'll elect to go watch a movie or go game, and then I just go get back on my computer because that's actually quiet time on the email front, right? After 8 to 10, everyone's doing their own thing, so you can answer those emails, check off your list, see where you have to be the next day, confirm your appointments, those kind of things.
Well, it's funny. I find myself doing the same thing, and I always stop about 9:30, but I go back after dinner and do exactly what you're talking about, and primarily do the email thing. I check in an email twice a day as far as responding to people, any kind of lengthy responses. So if you do it all day long, I find I'm going helter-skelter, and it just eats you up.
That's kind of my life.
It's a time eater.
Yeah, I'm all over the place. I am pretty sporadic, and I'll answer your email as soon as you send it to me. If I have something to say back to you,
Right.
or I'll just say, all right, I'll get to it sooner or later.
Well, it kind of becomes like texting then when you're going back and forth like that.
Yeah.
But anyway, as a final item as we wrap up today's show, you mentioned you're a member of WAMTAC, and I mentioned that I had been to the Woodlands chapter. I've been to some of the other chapters. It's a great networking, and I believe you said that 100% of your business has come directly or indirectly through that involvement. Is that correct?
Exactly.
So that sounds like a real home run to have joined that group.
It is. It is a great organization, and it stands for Women on a Mission to Earn Commission. But that commission can be financial, spiritual, emotional. It can be any of the above. So if you just maybe move to the area and you would like to just be around a bunch of powerful women who own their own businesses, or who just get together, we lunch every first and third Wednesday. It is category exclusive, so you can come as a guest, and if you would like to join, then you have to, pick a category to be in. So if you are the interior designer, then no other interior designer can be in the group. So.
Well, that's interesting, and that's important. And I will say, as far as I understood, at least when I went to the meeting a couple of months ago, men are also invited to join as well.
Absolutely.
So, and I find that interesting. And I have found in the group, I think it was the one out of Magnolia 1488, they actually had several men that actively participated in their group.
Yeah, they know women have the buying power, don't they?
Yeah. Well, there's
we
no
make
doubt
a lot
about
of
it.
decisions, and Yeah, coming and getting your message out. That's just another layered marketing technique, networking. It's
Right.
important. And I always say this, you wouldn't show up to a networking meeting without a business card. So why would you show up to the social media without a message? So get your message out there. You have a Facebook page. How many people still have the blue egg-shaped head on their Google Plus profile or their Twitter profile? It doesn't take much just to get a picture up to make you look complete,
Right.
just to complete the package.
Well, and I think that's as a final comment I will make today, that the people that don't post a picture of themselves or whatever, and there's more and more because I think there's some fear of people, but I have come to not want to connect with those people because that means they're not all in.
Right.
And
Especially if it's a business and you don't
right.
have your logo.
Well, I'm
up.
talking business to business
Yeah.
because that's all I do. So very interesting. Well, Courtney, I can't thank you enough for,
thank you
for
for
coming
having
in
me,
today and sharing social media with us, sharing your life story, your business story. An amazing story, a lot different than any that I've heard before. If people want to get in touch with you, especially one of those large clients, how do they best do that?
I'm easy to reach at ctopini@gmail.com.
Okay. Repeat that one more time for us.
ctopini@gmail.com.
Okay, spell Topini.
Topini.
It's really easy, folks. I was a little concerned with that name, but just like it sounds. And it's Italian.
It's Italian.
That's cool. Silver Fox Advisors, serving Houston business as mentors and consultants for over 25 years. Thank you for being part of our program today. And ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us this morning. Enjoy a successful and productive week. And until next week, keep your dial right where it is on Montgomery County's community radio, irlonestar.com, coming to you from the heart of downtown Conroe. And for the best in talk, entertainment, and great country music, always go to our website at www.irlonestar.com. And as always, keep your eye on the Lone Star.